Ladies and gentlemen, it is October 24th. I was about to say 25th. And this is the KNKL Show, episode 112? 112. I am your host, Kienan Lafferty, and this is the show where we normally learn to be better artists. But on Thursdays, we like to talk about feels. Our feels and what they do to us and how we can better manage them, along with our mentalities about art and about life. And we'd like to grow as one, as a community. I'd like to talk to you about a couple things that go through my head. And I write in my super secret journal, super secret diary. And I'm going to share those with you today. So what we're going to be talking about today, people, is fear, right? And we've talked about fear before. You're like, Keenan, what are you doing? You're repeating the same episodes over and over again. What are you, running out of material? No. We are delving further into fear and what it is and how you can overcome it and why it is essential that you overcome it. Okay? You can tell I'm very passionate about the subject. And a couple things that I want to say to start off with this is I recently finished reading Super Self. Where's Super Self? Is it here? I don't know where it is. I guess I retired it. Where is it? If it's not here, then I retired it. Oh, there it is. I retired it to the back of the desk, right back there. But this book is called Super Self, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It was an old book that was kind of kicking around in the basement, and I always like to read during my breaks when I work, because as you know, I actually rest more than I work. I work 26 minutes, and then I rest 34 the rest of the hour. Crazy. Go back and check out the 26-34 rule, Thoughtful Thursday, if you want to know more about that. But in the book, it talks about creating a list of your fears and finding out, basically rating it on a scale of 1 to 3. Basically, 1 is it kind of makes you, twitch a little bit at the thought of it. Number 2 is actually like you're overly cautious, like it actually bothers you. You will try to avoid it. And then 3 is you are absolutely terrified of it. Like you just don't know what to do when this thing happens or you are subjected to this scenario. And you just go crazy. So I compiled a list of my fears. And I'm going to go ahead and read those to you. And I want to urge that you guys do this for yourselves, right? And the book has a really good list of things that you can go through. In fact, I really want to see if I can find that. Aha! Yes. Okay, so if you want some suggestions on fear, let me read some out of the book for you. And hopefully you're not bored. I'm reading you a bedtime story. That's what I'm doing. Because here it is 8 o'clock, and it's time for bed for all the little boys and girls. So let me give you a couple suggestions for you to put on your fear list. And I'll tell you a couple of the ones that I put on mine. Okay, so the author here, his first one is snakes, right? The author of this book, he was terrified of snakes. Insects, spiders, dogs, sharks and eels, other animals, and then we move past that. Pain. And you ask me, well, how am I supposed to face pain? Am I supposed to like cut myself or something? No. That would be emo. We're not emo here. We're not those kinds of artists. We don't cut our ears off. We're past Van Gogh. Van Gogh did it. That was his style. No more of that. No repeating that. All right. But pain. Okay, so I looked at it, it was like, because it says you're supposed to face them. I was like, well, how do you face pain? And the way that you do it is working out. That's how you do it. You work out. Obviously, your body experiences pain during those times. So you can kind of just like get over the fear of like, and sort of like take pride in pushing your body past pain. Of course, you don't want to overwork and injure yourself, but you understand what I'm saying. Pain. The dark. Okay, guys. It's time for confession. I am terrified of the dark, and there's absolutely, it's so embarrassing, and it's literally to the point. Okay, because I was like, okay, I wrote it down. I was like, I'm gonna face it. I'm gonna face my fear, and it was just my dad in the house, right? And I walked downstairs into our dark basement, right? And it was nighttime outside, so it was like pitch black. I go down the stairs, I open the door to the basement, and I felt like I was like going to the basement at Home Alone. He's like afraid of the furnace, like the monster furnace. I think there's a monster in our basement too. So I open the door, and behind it, it is just pitch black, right? It's just like a void. I feel like I'm gonna step through a portal into the nether, right? And it's like inside, my brain says, "Oh, there's nothing. I know that there's nothing weird in there. There's no difference whether the light's on or off. It's just that I can't see, right? I might trip over something, but there isn't like some monster that's going to grab me and pull me into a portal and like cover my mouth so I can't scream and nobody can hear me." And so, but I sat there. I was just like looking into the darkness, and I was about ready to turn around and be like, oh no, we don't have to do this. We can just do this some other time, right? But I was like, no, I have to do this. So it took everything that I had, and I walked into this dark room, completely pitch black, and I closed the door behind me. And I just sat there for a second. I sat there for a second, and I felt the fear. I felt the fear and just the feeling of just not wanting to do it so badly. But after a little while, I noticed that, you know, my eyes started adjusting a little bit. I could barely see the ground. You know, I could see, like, there's, like, some gizmos and, like, things hooked up in there, so there's, like, a little bit of light they're putting off. And there's this little stool down there. So I just went ahead and had a seat on the stool. And I just sat there in the complete dark, and I closed my eyes, and I'm like, well, it's kind of the same thing. You know, close your eyes, pitch black. And I have this thing where I feel like something's always behind me, right? So I'll like want to look, even though I can't see whatever it is. But my eyes had barely adjusted enough that when I looked to the side, I saw something. And because my depth perception was so off, it literally looked like it was like right by my face. And it looked like something. I know it was nothing, but it was still scary. It was almost like I saw it and I was like, oh, no, don't want to look there because it's scary and, you know, it might bite my face off. And then I forced myself to look at the thing, you know, like face your fear, look it in the face. And then, lo and behold, nothing happened. I did not get dragged into the underworld by some demonic shadow monsters, so that's good. So, but again, that was even with my dad, you know, in the house. He was upstairs, I could hear him, and I was still scared. So the next step is for me to enter the dark when no one's here. When absolutely no one's here, no one can hear me scream, no one can come to my rescue. All right, that was a big tangent, but some people are talking about, oh, interesting. Someone's saying X big. I'm gonna call you X bigger. He says he has a fear of swimming in large bodies of water. I have that same fear too. And like I'm swimming in water, I can't see what's beneath me, and like my toe, like something brushes against my leg, and I'm like, ugh! And it's just like a weed or something, but it just like creeps me out. I think that like some big kraken monster is gonna grab me and pull me down. A lot of monsters like grabbing me and pulling me down. So XBLGR. Oh, it's XBLGR. I don't recognize your name with the not all caps. Okay, anyway, continuing. Loud noises. I don't know exactly how you would face that. I don't know, maybe go to a fireworks show. Deep water is in here. Deep, large ocean, large bodies of water. Elevators and escalators. Some people are kind of scared of these things. I don't know. I haven't really ever been scared to the point where, you know, I always think it's like gonna snap and it's gonna plummet down, and they put spikes down there so that way they make sure there's no survivors. But other than that, I'm not really scared of those. Dirt and germs. You know, some people are scared of those things. Successful people. Yes, this is something I was actually talking about a couple weeks ago. Is just this. It's not so much fear, but it's almost like I really don't like that person because it's like, you know, you feel like you're better than them. It's like if anybody deserves to be that popular and make that much money on their business and have all these people love them, it should be me, right? But we know that is a stupid thing to think, and you shouldn't even concern yourself with that. So I think that's kind of where successful people comes in. You should be happy for successful people. You should congratulate and be impressed by them. You know, don't envy them. Don't say, oh well, they don't deserve that, or they cheated the system or whatever. Like they did it, right? And if you study what they did, you can do it too. Okay, tests and exams. I'm actually scared of these things too. Not so much just tests and exams, but just school in general. I used to have like nightmares about going back to school. And I think it was because it's just, I have this crazy fear of like not doing what I don't want to do, right? Or having to do what I don't want to do, being forced to do that, right? Like learn math and learn history and learn about Shakespeare and all that stuff. And those things are cool and everything, but they're just not for me. I just felt like it was a big waste of my time. The only thing I was concerned about was like, what was the next picture I was going to be drawing? What was the next thing I was going to be learning as far as art goes? Being mugged is another interesting one. I mean, I live in a fairly nice part of town. Utah's, you know, Happy Valley over here, right? So I don't worry too much about, you know, being mugged. Being hurt physically. This is also another one that I'm not sure exactly how to overcome. Maybe you can do like the fall test with your friend, right? Where you fall back and then they catch you, right? Because that's fear of landing and smacking your head, but you know, your friend catches you. I don't know. Or being hurt physically. I know what you could do for that. You could take a karate class. You could take a self-defense class. And in there, they'll have you actually, you'll spar. I did self-defense for a couple months with my little brother. And there you'll be sparring with your your teammates, right? And you're wearing like pads and stuff, but you get kicked and you'll fall and stuff. And that kind of helps you get over the fear of like fighting or being hurt, you know? So I like that. I like that for the little time that I did it. And I know if I would have continued, it would have gotten even better. So, you know, now that I think about that, I want to get back into that. That was really fun. Disappointment. Disappointment is another big one. This is something that's actually on my list, and it has to do with disappointing others. I'm very afraid of letting other people down, right? Like they come to me and they say, Kienan, I really need your help with this, right? And it's something that I don't really want to do necessarily, but I'm so afraid of disappointing them or letting them down that I'll just say yes. And that, I mean, it's always a good thing to want to be able to help, but if you, it can only go so far before you really start sacrificing other things that you should be doing just because you're afraid of saying no to somebody. And this is a big thing that I have a problem with. I have the biggest problem with saying no. I just, it's so hard for me to just go through even the thought of just being like, no, sorry. You know, it's just my brain does not compute saying no like that because I feel like I'm being mean, or you know, maybe that person won't love me anymore if I don't do this for them. But really, letting other people down is not necessarily a bad thing. Saying no is not a bad thing. You gotta make sure you know the right times to say yes, and this goes back to commitments. If you say yes, you honor that commitment, and if you cannot honor that commitment, or if you're gonna do like a half-assed job on it, then you have to say no. You must say no. Okay. Being yelled at. I guess that's an interesting one. I think everybody doesn't enjoy being yelled at, but I think what would be funny is to kind of face this. Maybe it's kind of just the loudness of it. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe you gotta like get one of your friends together and be like, hey, let's just like yell at each other. Just yell whatever we want at each other, and you might actually laugh. And the next time someone's really mad at you and starts yelling at you, you might actually start laughing at them, which may in turn make them angry and want to hurt you. But because you've been taking self-defense class, you can kick their butt. All right. Financial problems. This is on everybody's list, I'm sure. Everybody just doesn't enjoy financial problems, and they get scared of them. But a way that you can face this, and this is probably one of the biggest things that I've been going through, you know, because, you know, you quit the job to start your own business, make your own comic, and kind of working freelance. There's no more stability anymore. It's all just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, you know, going wherever, and you take, you know, whatever job is there. And I've gotten even some good jobs and great clients that are really taking care of me. But even still, you know, but the funny thing is, here's the interesting part, is that my financial problems, my worries about financial matters weren't gone. They weren't gone when I had the job with Riot. You know, I was making good money, you know, and all stable and everything, but somehow I was still worried about money. And it's like, why does that happen? That's so weird. It's almost like it's not so much about how much money you're bringing in, you know, because you just seem to spend it. It's almost like it's the habit of spending everything that you make that leads to the problem. So I think that really for me, what I had to do was I had to look inside, and I had to develop a little bit more discipline with my money. Like, and discipline doesn't mean, oh, well, I'm on a budget, so I'm not going to spend that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go out and have fun. But I think what financial discipline has to do for me is just understanding where everything goes. Right? Have you ever heard the expression, I don't know where it all goes? It's just the end of the month comes and it's all gone, right? And that right there is a huge problem. If you don't know where your money's going, then of course you're going to be afraid of it. People are naturally afraid of things that they don't know. So if you don't know where the heck your money is going, then, you know, you're going to be afraid of it, and it's just going to cause so many problems. But as soon as you at least just figure out where it's all going and be like, oh, wow, I spent this much here and here and here and here on these new clothes that I don't even wear anymore. I spent, you know, all this money on fast food. You know, I've been wanting to lose some weight and make my own lunches anyway, so let's cut that back a little bit. You know, and then you develop control. You develop control just because you know what's happening. Once it's in your control, you're not afraid of it anymore. And that's really been the case with me too. I just understand where my money's going now. And it's easier too because there's almost less of it. It's easier to figure out where it's going when you have less of it. So it's good to start, you know, young, I guess you could say. All right, guys. I hope you don't mind me just like going down this list and just kind of talking about each thing. But yeah, whatever. I think you guys are having fun. I hope you guys are having a good one. All right, moving on. Old age. This one was not on my list. I'm not afraid of old age. I'm actually looking forward to old age because I know that when I'm old, my comic's going to be done and I'm just going to be sitting there just reading the comics and be like, man, that was a good time. You know, I'll probably have like maybe 3 or 4 comics done, who knows, and a cartoon and all this stuff, and my kids will be watching it. Yeah, it'll be a good time. I'm excited for old age. Sickness, not so much. I never really get sick that much, and when I do, I don't know. I just always, I don't go to the doctor every time I'm sick. I just almost like, unless it's something really serious, then I just kind of get over it. It's like I just chug a bunch of vitamin C like this, and just understand that your body has to get sick sometimes. So, not afraid of that. Death. Ooh, this is a big one. Now, tell me a person out there that is not afraid of death, and I will show you a man who's living life to the fullest. And that was kind of cheesy, but the truth is there. Death is something that is very scary to all of us. And I had to ask myself too. But death can also be a very interesting thing. Death can be a very motivating thing. And it can almost put everything into perspective to the point where you realize that one day you are going to die. And it might not be 80 years from now. It could be tomorrow. It could be next week. And once I kind of just accepted that, once I accepted that I could die basically at any moment, I don't know what's going to happen, but death is inevitably going to come. There's no way to avoid it. You cannot get out of life alive, you know what I'm saying? Like, I freaking love that quote. You can't get out of life alive. And once you realize that, that kind of just breaks it down to brass taxes. I guess you could say that. And you ask yourself, okay, what am I really doing with my life? Because there's only so much of this doing what everybody else says is a good idea, taking the nice steady approach, the nice going for the stability. I had dreams and I had passion, but I just kind of pushed that away because I learned that wasn't realistic, right? My friends told me it wasn't realistic. My parents told me it wasn't realistic. And I just lived a good, safe, secure life up till I was 100. And I never pursued my dreams, and I never I never did my creative dream. I never started the business. I never made the comic. I never influenced the lives of these people because I was too scared to take a chance. And once you realize that one day you will die, and then you are going to have to sit there and basically admit to yourself that you were too scared to take that step and too scared to follow your dreams. It's like, what the heck is life for anyway? What the heck is life for? I don't believe that life is supposed to be just taking the nice, secure place, sit in the corner, and we'll put a blanket over you, and we'll bring you 3 meals a day type of thing. That's not what life is. Life is supposed to be adventure. Life is supposed to be taking the chance. Life is supposed to be stepping into uncertainty, because in the realm of uncertainty is where your passion is found. All right, anyway, so moving on from death. No more death. Let's talk about driving, riding in a car. Ooh, this is an interesting one. This is a very interesting one. I had a funny fear, and you guys are gonna laugh when you hear this. But my buddy Larry, right, who is the Bravo Ray, who works at Riot Games, when I used to carpool with him to work, Larry was actually in an accident probably about a month prior to us beginning carpooling together. And so he was just like he was just like really defensive when he'd drive. He's just like watching everybody. And that's understandable, right? You go through a traumatic event and you want to be really careful. I've never been in a well, I guess I've been in a car accident. Yeah, not a terrible one. I was driving with my brother, actually back from Riot Games one day, and there was this truck that just like swerved right into us. Like it was almost like it was trying to run us off the road for no reason, right? And I was in the passenger seat, and my hand was like on the door, right? And I was like it knocked into the door, and I was like holding a shield, right? I was like trying to like push it back, right, with the door. It was, I wasn't like holding the door, but you know what I mean. It just felt like I was holding a shield, and the truck just like ran into it, and that was pretty scary. So we got smacked, right? Luckily, my brother, he's a champ. He totally just kept control of the car. And it could have been really bad, because if we would have lost control, the traffic in California is just, there's just cars going, right? So if you tumble, man, it's just going to be a massive pileup. And I've seen those things happen before, and trust me, it is not pretty. There's just cars on top of cars, cars in other cars. It's amazing. And yeah, but luckily my brother took care of that, and we pulled off to the side of the road really quickly, and the guy in the truck just took off. He just kept going. He didn't pull over with us. Really quite a shame. I felt betrayed. I felt hurt emotionally, and I felt rejected. But the point is that, it could have been really bad. We could have been seriously injured, but luckily we were not hurt. And so after a traumatic event, it's not natural to feel a little bit afraid. But even after that happened, I still am not super afraid of being in a car. But you could say that have you ever done this? When you're sitting in the back seat of your friend's car and they're getting ready to change lanes, and if they're moving to the right, you'll look to the right, before they change lanes, just like in case you want to be like, whoa, hey, watch out for that, or if they're going to the left, you look to the left. And I think that might be a little bit, that's like a minor thing. So watch if you do that. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to say is when I was carpooling with Larry, I think this was partially just from the anxiety of work. But I used to think that there were people, like the people in the cars next to me were like sitting there and like pointing guns at me, or like they were just waiting for, I don't know, like they were just gonna blow my head off for whatever reason, like just people like standing like pointing guns at me. And I don't think that's so much fear as it was just stupid anxiety. And yeah, I mean those things can happen too. But you just have to realize that you need to calm down, right? Maybe we can address that in another episode. But yeah, we've been going for about 20 minutes. So we'll finish this up, and then I'll tell you the things that are on my fear list and how I'm going to go about looking to challenge them and face them. And we're just about done. Loneliness. I think this is another one that's actually on my list. Loneliness is on my list. And the reason why it is, like, have you ever been alone at your house or alone anywhere, and you're almost afraid of just the silence? Like, I hate it when the house is empty and it's just complete silence. So I'll like turn on music or turn on the TV. You ever done that? Like, you just don't want it to be completely silent. And I think the reason why I do this, maybe the reason why other people do it, is because they know if they're all alone and they don't have anybody to talk to and nothing to distract them, they're going to be forced to look inside and ask, what the heck am I doing with my life? You know what I mean? Like, they're going to have one of those moments. They're going to have one of those moments to sit down and think. Like, isn't that crazy? And yet we don't want to do that because we might be scared and we might be, disappointed with what we've done with our lives so far. So we just seek to kind of distract ourselves and be like, oh, I'm just going to watch the show, and then you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, face the loneliness and be okay with it. I almost replace it. It's like, it's not loneliness, it's solitude. It's solitude. It's time for you to really sit there and think, really evaluate your goals, where you're going with your life, and are you really pursuing your passion, and are you developing your gifts, are you developing your skills, becoming an amazing person, which I know you are. Flying. Some people have a big fear of flying. Me, however, I don't. There was this one time I was on a plane, though, and there was this lady that just went absolutely crazy. She was like saying stuff like, there's a bomb in me, or something like that, like in the Batman Dark Knight, right? The guy in the jail, he has like the freaking bomb in his stomach. Like, this girl was like going crazy, and she thought that she had a bomb inside of her, and I was like, oh man. And I was actually like, at that point I was like, holy crap, what is this girl gonna blow the entire, like, what if she explodes and blows this plane in half, right? And everybody gets sucked out the window, like in all the movies they show everybody getting sucked out the windows. I was like, what if that happens to me, right? And I was like, this might have been one of the points where I kind of had to consider death, you know what I mean? I was like, is this really happening right now? Because at one point I was like, okay, this is just some crazy lady, she's probably like, nothing's gonna happen. She got up. She actually, like, the stewardess went over to restrain her, and I think she had like an iPad or something, and she just like whacked him in the head with it. Right? She was like fighting people off of her, and she was literally going crazy. They had to drag her to the back of the plane and then restrain her with like the like those seats go up and down for like wheelchairs. They kept the seat up and they just restrained her with the freaking seat belts. It was absolutely crazy. I could not believe what was happening. And I was like, holy crap, is someone gonna freaking blow her up? And I was like, well, wait a minute. I mean, if this is really gonna happen right now, if I'm gonna die right now, then all right, let's do it. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I'm gonna get blown up. If I make it out of the plane, I might suffocate before I even reach the point where I can actually breathe anything. I'll just have a nice, awesome skydive all the way back to the earth, and then that'll be the end of it. And then I'll never remember, I won't remember the pain after I'm dead. And, it's a quick way to go. It's better than being interrogated or tortured or, some other terrible thing. I don't need to go into that, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, well, whatever. I just kind of accepted that this was a possibility that could happen. And once I did that, I don't know, it just kind of, I don't know, it just like didn't bother me. It really didn't bother me. So maybe that was the point where, one of the instances where I kind of had to face, is this a point where I could possibly die? So, and luckily, yeah, nothing happened. I'm sure other people have gone through, many much worse things than just, oh man, this person's going crazy on a plane, but crazy lady on a plane. So, let's see here. Someone's got some good stories over here. Alicia. I'll read that in a second. Failure. We're up to the last 7 here. Failure is the next one. And again, this has to do with letting people down, letting yourself down. Failure is something that I've come to look at as something that you must experience if you ever hope to be anything great. Right? If you want to make something great out of yourself, if you want to be proud of yourself and the person that you're becoming, you have to face failure because it is inevitable that you are going to do so. There's going to be times where I make a show and it really sucks, or I think that it sucks, right? Or I get like a bad comment from somebody on YouTube, which is, another reason entirely, or another story entirely. But, just there's all these things that you think that you're failing, right? Or even sometimes you really do fail. Sometimes it's like, hey, I tried this thing and it totally sucked, right? But very quickly, you notice that once you fail, you just kind of just keep going, right? Failure is a question. Failure is a question of, what do I need to do next? What's up next, right? What's the next plan? What's the next thing? And you just go for it and go for it and go for it. The most successful people have failed more than the less successful people. And that's the way that I like to look at it. So now when I fail miserably at something, I'm like, that's sweet. Now I know exactly what not to do. Now let's go ahead and try this. So, speaking up, I'd like to say something. This is a fear of mine, and hence I started the show because I wanted to become better at public speaking. I wanted to be able to speak my mind, get my feelings out there, maybe inspire some other people that they can speak up to. They can get better with, just presenting themselves and sharing ideas. I love sharing ideas. I love the fact that you guys, are tuned in and sharing ideas with me on here, and it is really special to me. So speaking up was a fear of mine, and I've tried to combat that with the show. And I'm getting better and better every day. I'm really enjoying it. Commitment. Cold feet. Cold feet before that marriage? You might have fear of commitment. And this might also fall into the fear of letting others down, right? Because just like, oh, well, I want to say yes because, oh, they're so nice. And, I don't want them to hate me, so I better say yes, right? Because I really care about them. And, but I got this other thing I really need to do, but I don't want to say no, okay? This is fear of commitment, right? Or I guess, or whatever. You know what I'm saying. Next, embarrassment. Embarrassment. Oh, man, this is an interesting one. The fear, this also goes hand in hand with speaking up. What if I speak up, say my mind, and then nobody cares? What if I bare my soul, and then nobody listens? What if I create this amazing piece of art, and everybody never looks at it? Nobody ever sees it. Interesting, interesting. This kind of has to do with the feelings of, I kind of want to relate this to something that I commonly do. Whenever I create a piece of work or, a show or any piece of content that I put out there, I have a very bad habit of looking at the comments of what everybody's saying about it, right? Like, oh, well, this person said a good thing about it. Oh, this person really didn't like it. Oh, maybe I should, dial it back a little bit. And I have this really bad addiction to basically like looking at comments. And this is something that I've like tried my best, or that I am currently doing. I'm kind of restraining myself from looking at every single comment and looking at all these thread posts and all this stuff, and like doing work for the sake of getting people to react to it. Instead of doing what I really want to do, I'm letting what other people think about me, and I'm altering my work so that it will satisfy them. And that, unless they're paying you, is not a good idea. Alrighty, and even then, might not be worth it. Might not be worth it. It's up to you. Okay, saying the wrong thing, that goes hand in hand with embarrassment. Same thing. Speaking before a group, same thing. And swimming is the last one on that list. And as I said before, I have a fear of swimming in large bodies of water. Let's read this story by Alicia. Alicia says the first time she flew in a plane, the captain came over the intercom and said, "My co-pilot has just told me that I can do a barrel roll. We're just going to test that." Oh, that's awesome. Your barrel roll. His co-pilot was Peppy. And it was Fox McCloud. Flying the plane. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and do question catapults for a few minutes. And then we're going to end day 112 of the KNKL show. So just let me know a couple of your fears, or ask me some questions about maybe how you can get over a fear of something. And in the meantime, I'll just read you very quickly my fears and how I'm seeking to get rid of them. And I've written these down in my journal. Journal. Something you should get. Write it down. Figure out how you're going to face your fears. Okay? Darkness. We already talked about that. Walk down the basement. Being alone. Allowing myself to be alone. And in the darkness. Ooh, how about that? Sometimes you can take care of two fears at the same time. Rejection. I'm afraid of putting myself out there and then people just don't like me. What did I ever do? Right? And the way that I'm going to come back to this one. Successful people, right? I'm afraid, or I kind of envy people because like I want to be that person. You know, I should be that person. They don't deserve that, right? But now what I'm doing is I'm taking pride. I'm taking pride in the successful people. I'm like, man, look at what this person has done. Look at the value that they've brought to all these people. Look at all the lives they've changed. Look at how many people they've inspired. And instead, just take joy in that. Take excitement in that. And then watch what they do, because you can learn from successful people. Heights. Heights is another very interesting one. A lot of people are afraid of heights. And this also has to do with fear of death, right? Because we associate height with, ooh, if I fall off of this, I will die. And the way that I once faced this was I was at Lake Powell, and there was this giant cliff. Like, there's tons of great places to jump off cliffs and jump into the water. I love doing stuff like that. As funny as that sounds, I love jumping off cliffs into water. And there was this massive cliff. It was at least 50 feet tall, and this thing was huge. It took like when I jumped off that thing, it felt like I was in the air forever. And I just hit the water. It was like you didn't even feel your feet hit the water. Like you were just in the air, and then you're instantly underwater. And you know, that feeling of really facing your fear and just taking the jump is very it's very thrilling, and it's very invigorating and awesome. So I like that stuff. Financial problems, I talked to you about that, how I'm taking care of that. Speaking up, I also talked about. Embarrassment, also, that's going to go with rejection. Saying the wrong thing also goes with rejection. And let me tell you how I take care of saying the wrong thing, rejection, and embarrassment. The way that I used, for those of you who know about some of my deep, dark secrets, you'll know that I am not only interested in public speaking, but I'm also interested in just being able to talk to people, right? Strangers, cute girls at the mall, some hottie walking down the sidewalk that was like, oh no, she was so cute, right? And I, like my friends there, I'm like, oh man, she was so hot, right? But it's like, why can't I just like talk to that person, right? Why can't I just like go up and say hello, right? Or introduce myself, right? For the fear of rejection, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of saying the wrong thing. So the way that I get over this, and I actually have done this in the past, and it has helped, but I actually want to continue doing it, is I used to literally go to the mall with my friend, or even sometimes alone, and I just used to practice talking to people. It's not just cute girls. Cute girls are definitely really, really hard. But it's actually, you know, I'm just afraid of talking to anybody. I'm just afraid of talking to strangers for fear of, I don't know this person, but for some reason I'm afraid that they're not going to like me or reject me, right? And that's something that I really need to get over. And yeah, it's like I shouldn't care, right? Because I literally don't know this person, so I can't get wrapped up in what they think about me, you know? So that's how I'm facing those fears. I'm literally going with my friends to the mall, or just anytime I'm out, and I will talk to people. I'll just talk to people, like strangers. I'll be shopping, you know, at Ross. You know, some guys will be like, hey, what's up? Oh, hey, oh, those are awesome pants, you know. That's a really good find, or whatever. Or what do you think about these? You know, just talk to random people. And that's really fun. And sometimes they do reject you. But now that I'm facing my fears, if I do get rejected, it's like awesome. I'm like, yes, yes, that's what I wanted you to do, right? I wanted you to reject me good, right? Tell me how much you hate me. Tell me how creepy I am, right? Tell me about all these things. And it's just like, I feel the power, right? Because I'm facing my fear and staring it in the face. I'm saying, I'm not afraid anymore, right? From Home Alone. You hear me? I'm not afraid anymore. Okay, letting others down, talked about that. Learning to say no. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it good. Questions? XBLGR is asking, when you're pursuing your art career, did you ever have the fear that you weren't good enough? If so, how did you overcome it? Yes, I definitely had thoughts of, I definitely had thoughts of, oh, well, I'm not good enough yet. But I knew somewhere inside of me that it was inevitable that I was going to have a job doing art. And partly this is because my parents believed in me, right? And not many people are blessed with parents and friends that say, you know what, you're going to do it. And there were plenty of people that said I couldn't do it. There were plenty of people that said, oh, you didn't go to college, you didn't get some prestigious, degree. They're not going to take you seriously, right? And, no disrespect for people that are going to college, but I believed that it was all about what you could do, right? Especially being an artist. And I set out to just prove it. I didn't want to go to school because I just didn't like that. I don't like school. I really don't. I like hanging out with people. I like having friends, but I don't like having to take all these stupid classes again that I don't care about just to get some degree so I can look good in front of somebody. I'd rather just get to it, start working now. So yes, I had fears, but I also knew deep down inside that it was going to happen. Similarly to, I don't know, just kind of when you just commit to something, I also know that the comic is going to get done. Emma is going to get done. Sometimes it might take freaking forever to get a piece out, right, or a part out, but it's going to get done eventually. And I will not rest till it is so. One more question, then we're done. Sorry, I can't take all yours. Let's see here. Fear of going bald actually causes your hair to fall out. Brolisha says. These are more people just talking about their fears. If you don't mind, I will share some, and I won't say, well, it's your alias, so it doesn't matter. Beast Point is saying an interesting one. He has a small fear of having nightmares and not being able to wake up. That's very interesting. I like that. And Blaze Malefica is saying he has a fear of getting out of his comfort zone. He's been saying to himself to find a job, but he can't. Deep inside, I want to, but I'm scared to get rejected. Makes me feel ashamed. Yes, Blaze, I totally know how you feel. And again, this is fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment. And what you got to do is, in terms of like getting a job and getting opportunity, this is something that I'm doing with myself too. It's like I wanted to get more freelance work, right? I wanted to have more people that I was working for. And I don't just like put everything into one and hope it works out. Right? It's like contact this person contact me, get back to them, send out a portfolio there, send out some pieces here, post on this forum, get some attention over here, they contact me. It's like there's all kinds of ways to just spread yourself out really quickly and just get your name out there. And granted, it might be a little bit easier for me because I worked at Riot and some people have seen my work, but even when I didn't have anything out there, even when my exposure was literally zero, it just seems like opportunities present themselves regardless. Like when you're ready for them, when you're just ready to go, the opportunity just presents itself. And for me, it was the local company here in Utah. My dad was working with them, doing something with them. And then I did some storyboards for them, and that turned into an opportunity. And I worked there for 4 years. And it was awesome. I absolutely loved it. Illustrated 2 books, and then that went on to Riot. So anyway, guys, yeah, this has been a good talk. Good talk, guys. Good talk. I appreciate you coming. Yes, this has been another great Thoughtful Thursday. Thank you for joining me live, as usual, on the KNKL stream on Twitch, live. And I was trying to say something else. I was trying to say something completely different, and that's how it came out. People on YouTube, thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. Thanks for talking about fears with me, guys. Be sure to face them, look them in the face your fears, and they will bow to you guys. I love you. Take care. And I'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.